On RPM today, the world of kart races in the land down under. With 2 races left in the season, 26 points separate the top 5 drivers. Gilles de Ferran hasn't finished in the top 10 in Australia in 2 races. Paul Tracy has 2 top 10s there in the last 5, winning in 1995. And Michael Andretti has 2 top 5s in the past 3 Aussie events. Winston Cup action smokes through Talladega for the Winston 500. If Dale Earnhardt is going to make his move for the championship, it's got to be now. Earnhardt sits just 6 points back of Jeff Burton and 258 points behind Bobby Labonte. With just 5 races left, capital E needs a big W. The Indy Racing League takes to the track in Texas for its final race of the season, where Buddy Lazier looks to hold on for his first IRL championship. We're just getting started on RPM Today. Next.
Welcome to RPM Today. I'm Matt Yoakam in Talladega, Alabama, where NASCAR has handed out a new restrictor plate, giving teams cause for concern. Now let's go to Marla Clain in Texas.
Matt, this is the IRL season finale, and we will crown a champion here today. Considering the show this series put on here back in June, we should have another Texas shootout. But the guys to keep your eye on are the championship contenders, Buddy Lazier, Scott Goodyear, and Eddie Cheever. Whit?
Thanks, gang. Welcome, race fans, and thanks for dropping by on RPM Today. I'm Whit Watson. We will indeed hand out a championship in the IRL later today. From Talladega to Texas with a long layover in Australia, you'll be up to speed in 30 minutes. When kart went down under for the Honda Indy 300 last year, the championship was a 2-horse race. Dario Franchitti swept all 22 possible points at Surfers Paradise, winning from the pole, leading the most laps. That, coupled with Juan Montoya's accident on lap 49, gave Franchitti the points lead heading into the finale at Fontana. Of course, Montoya won the title in a tiebreaker. This year, similar hopes for a lot more guys. 9 drivers with a chance at the championship, with 2 races to go. We go down under. For the pictures, second to last stop, the kart heads were there. Action from the start. The pole sitter Juan Montoya and Gilles de Ferran fighting to the first corner. Neither would make it out. Montoya and de Ferran got together right from the get-go. Check it out again. De Ferran and Montoya will touch wheels. Montoya out immediately. De Ferran limping back in on 3 wheels, but he too was done. Up front, Paul Tracy making some moves. Number 2 in points, number 1 in the race after a lap 5 restart. But on lap 12, he's got trouble. His throttle sticks and he misses the corner. The car stalls. He's stuck. By the time he got going again, he was running 20th. Lap 27 now. Another title hopeful is struggling. Elio Castroneves, a tire problem. The left rear is going down. A change would do him good. He'd come in, get it changed, and finish in 6th. Lap 36, the top rookie in kart, Kenny Brack, charging to the lead. On lap 36, charging into the pits. Lap 39, more problems for a contender. Michael Andretti, a serious problem. You can see, if you look closely, the engine's on fire. Andretti would finish 20th. He was okay. He would climb out. The caution would come out. Lap 41, a whole lot of pitting going on. Jimmy Vasser pitting while leading, as did most of the field, except for Adrian Fernandez, who was tied for 4th in the standings. Could he make it on fuel? On lap 44, it's a moot point. His teammate, Roberto Moreno, botching the restart. He slides. He would finish 19th. Fernandez getting a long caution. Lap 48, more restarts, more problems. Fernandez up front, mayhem behind him. Max Pappas got loose in front of Paul Tracy, who was back in the hunt. Tracy avoiding Pappas, then battling Oriol Servia for 4th in a drag race to the chicane. Servia crossing the chicane, and you're going to see he'll punt Tracy pretty hard. Puts him sideways. Lots of damage to the car. Tracy, as you can imagine, not pleased. By the way, it was reported that Cal Wells told Servia over the radio after the accident that his services were no longer required for next year. Yeah, fired during the race. Final lap, white flag is out. Adrian Fernandez's crew likes what they see because they see Adrian Fernandez out front. He and Kenny Brack, down the stretch they come. And Adrian Fernandez will hold on. Viva Mexico, the race winner, speaking to Gary Gerald.
In the jubilation here, the Premier is here to make a presentation to Adrian Fernandez. We'll get a quick word here before he does that, and they take you to the podium. When this day started, 17th position on the grid. Did you have any inkling that you could be within 5 points of the championship lead?
No, no way. I tell you what, it's we struggle all week and we haven't been able to qualify, but I tell you, the Patrick team never gives up, and we stayed on track. And I had a big moment one time with Max where he really squeezed me to the wall when I had him pass and things like that. And but you know, at the end we stayed there. We took a gamble, and you know, we stay on the track, we stay clean, and this is fantastic. Winning Australia is just the best thing.
And going to Fontana, where you reign as the defending champion, how much confidence are you going to take into that race 2 weeks from today?
I think, you know, Fontana, that's one of our races. We know how to race those races, and I think we're looking good for the championship.
So the Premier is here to offer his congratulations. The trophy follows. Adrian Fernandez in the thick of a championship shootout in 2 weeks.
Fernandez with his second win of the year, 7th of his career, from 5th to 2nd in the points. Kenny Brack matching his best finish of his rookie season in 2nd. Jimmy Vasser, his 2nd straight podium finish, but he's knocked out of the championship hunt, and it's all about points right now.
We did good pit strategy, not as good as Adrian's team, though, however, but we drove hard and we had a very good pit strategy, so I think that everything came together, but the bottom line was we had a car today that was really under me, and I could use it to overtake people in the restarts and stuff like that, and I can't thank my guys enough. It's going to be interesting now for Fontana.
I'm not so frustrated is that, you know, I just don't understand it. You know, I'll get a ride somewhere in some series, but, you know, some of these guys really drive crazily, and they're never going to win championships driving like that, that's for sure.
Tony Kanaan, a nice continuation to his comeback, his 6th top 10 of the year. Servia, the rookie, 5 top 10s in his last 7 races, but now looking for a job. Mark Blundell matching his best finish in his last 6 races. Paul Tracy, needless to say, not too happy with Servia.
What are you going to say, you know? I think he knows what happened. I mean, I had the line into the corner, and he went over the curb and hit me in the side, and it's championship contender. And you know, what else? What are you going to say to the guy? You know, he knows what was up and made a mistake. I guess he got penalized for whatever was going on out there. But, you know, it doesn't help us and it doesn't help him.
Points now, 5 drivers still eligible, all looking for their first title. DeFerrin's best season finish, 2nd in 97. Adrian Fernandez, a career best 4th in 98. Paul Tracy's finished 3rd 3 times, Brack a series rookie. Moreno's best points finish, 14th as a super sub last year. The weekend in racing began with tragedy. NASCAR Truck Series driver Tony Roper suffered fatal injuries during Friday's O'Reilly 400 in Fort Worth after a head-on crash into the wall at Texas Motor Speedway. Roper was trying to maneuver through traffic when he touched another truck and lost control on the 32nd lap of the event. He passed away on Saturday, the first fatality in the 3.5-year history of the track. Also on Saturday, IHRA driver Wayne Bailey lost his life after a wreck in Friday night qualifying for the World Finals in Louisiana. His car split in half and hit a concrete retaining wall. He was airlifted to a hospital in Shreveport, where he passed away early on Saturday morning. Roper was 35, Bailey was 47. We at RPM extend our condolences to their families. When the show continues, Winston Cup heading for Talladega. Matt Yoakam will check in with news from the Winston 500. The IRL will hand out a championship today, the final race on the schedule, and Marlo Clain is there when RPM rolls on. More grit from the Honda Indy. Paul Tracy 17th, 12 laps off the pace. The Aussie native Jason Bright with his first kart start of the year. He finished 18th. A lot of big names taken out early. Michael Andretti, another mechanical failure. DeFerrin, Montoya, and Franchitti, short days, but DeFerrin is still clinging to the points lead. 1/8 of an inch, the length of an eyelash, half a fingernail. That's how much bigger the openings were on the restrictor plates this week at Talladega. NASCAR increased the apertures from 7/8 to a full inch prior to the Winston 500, and then watched in horror as Bobby Labonte did 198 miles an hour in Saturday practice. 6 other drivers passed 196. NASCAR decided 1 inch apparently was too much. The holes are now to 15/16. And the change was made after first-round qualifying, so anything could happen today. As we grid you for the Winston 500, Front Row Joe, aptly named on the pole, 6th time in his career. Bill Elliott, the outside position on row 1. Points leader Bobby Labonte off 6th, where he needs to be. The story of qualifying Dave Marcus with a top 10 start, his first since June of 1997, and just the 10th time all year he's made the field. His average starting position is 37th. A Richard Childress power plant in the car this week, and apparently he's got the right formula. We should point out Dale Earnhardt will start 20th today in search of his 10th Talladega victory. A points race on his mind. Matt Yoakam with us now from Alabama. And Matt, already, as we've mentioned, some controversy surrounding the race and the plates this week at Talladega.
They should really change the name from the Winston to the Upset 500, because just about everybody has been upset at one point or another over the course of the weekend. It started on Friday with many teams, mostly Ford, were upset about the new restrictor plate because they felt like the GM teams, mainly the Chevys, had an advantage. Then during Saturday morning's practice session, NASCAR got discouraged when they saw the speeds reach over 198 miles per hour in the draft, and they were not happy at all about the quick closure rate they were seeing on cars catching up to other packs. So then they held a mandatory drivers meeting before happy hour and handed out new restrictor plates, down 1/16 of an inch to 15/16, which now led the GM guys, most of the Chevys, very upset over the new plate because they felt like the advantage that they had gained working countless hours in the dyno room trying to tweak the new rules was now gone. It seems like now the only people who may be happy after today's race could be the fans, but then again, who knows about that either?
I think most of them are smart enough to know that in Daytona and Talladega there's an issue surrounding speed that we're conscious of, and they are as well. And so while we did not give anybody any indication that we might make this type of change, I don't think it comes as a big surprise.
Everything, all the development and everything we did for the last month or so is kind of out the window right now because, you know, we don't have time to fix more engines, and all that money and time and efforts out the window. We'll just have to take it and do the best we can. The change will benefit some engine combinations more than it will others.
Dollar amount, what are we looking at?
Lord, I wouldn't even want to guess. In the hundreds of thousands.
We don't make the rules, we just race by them. So whatever's thrown out there, we'll have to make the best we can at it. And one thing about here at Talladega is it might not matter if you're 40 horsepower off. You'll still be able to keep up with the draft.
Is there a point where you take the race out of the driver's hands? Is there a line that you can cross, and are we close to that line?
I think they've done that when they put the restrictor plate on it years ago. So they're past that point.
In spite of the last-minute rules change, everyone still expects the wildest race seen at Talladega in years. With the spoilers set at 70 degrees and added aerodynamic devices, the cars will punch huge holes in the air. The result? The return of the slingshot move and nearly constant three-wide, white-knuckle, hold-your-breath type racing.
It's going to be a 43-car pack, and as many cars as that are on the racetrack, that's how many cars will be in the pack. It's going to be a real interesting race. I hope it's not a real interesting wreck.
It's going to be an exciting race for the fans. For us, it's going to be probably one of the hardest races we've ever driven because we're going to be 3 and 4 wide the whole time. The cars are so stable, people are going to go 3 wide and try to get to the front, and anybody can lead. It looks like to me everybody's cars is equal. It just depends what lane you're going to get in.
We used to do all the bump drafting, and it was hard to get to somebody's back bumper to give them a little push. Well, now I think you're going to see them called hit and runs. You know, when they come at you, they're going to be going 20 mile an hour faster, and it's going to spin you out or something's going to happen. So that's the one thing that we got to see how everybody's going to deal with.
You've got a lot more power right now than you've had, and the cars draft up so much better that you've really got to be careful. You can run to the back of somebody. So, you know, 2 or 3 times out there in practice, man, I've had to use a lot of brake to keep from running into somebody and just hope the guy behind me was getting on the brake too. So it's definitely a little bit different.
You do get more of a draft effect. What's that going to do when we get in race conditions? It's hard to say right now because, you know, in practice, you've got people pulling out and doing different things, and that creates really a different scenario than what we're going to see in the race.
I told these guys a while ago, I said, you know, this is almost fun if you weren't going to wait for that big wreck that's going to happen. I said, it's almost fun.
With the ability to pull out and pass on your own, the rules on the last lap will also change quickly. In years past, the front was definitely the place to be when the white flag fell. Now, it depends on who you ask.
I still would right now say that if I had to guess, I still want to be in front. I can control things a little better there.
You definitely wouldn't want to be leading this thing on the last lap, kind of back like it was years ago.
Probably Earnhardt and them guys that block pretty good will probably like to lead, but I'd rather be third or fourth with 2 to go.
I want to be out front. I want to be out front, and hopefully they get to racing behind you, and you can pick your car you want to get in front of to push you by or whatever.
Different situations there, man. You can really get a run on people, and you can really run up on them, and you can pull out fast. And then I've been in a couple of deals where I couldn't pass, so I don't know. I don't know.
And the controversy continued after happy hour because Jimmy Makar, crew chief on the 18 team, wanted to send home and bring back another motor from the shop, which they felt might be a little bit better with the new restrictor plate. NASCAR said no, even though there is not a rule about that in the rule book. So Mark Cronquist, the team's head engine builder, carried his little black box to the airport and got on Bobby Labonte's plane, taking home the team's race carburetor. He spent all night working on the dyno, trying to find the right engine package with this new plate. So what they did, they went back to the engine package they ran here back in the spring. They feel confident, but not as confident as they were on Friday. Whit?
All right, we'll keep an eye on it, Matt. Thanks a lot. We'll hear from you again after the race.
Look forward to it, Whit.
More grid for the Winston 500. Stacey Compton, good effort. John Andretti making his best start since the Brickyard 400. Michael Waltrip's had 7 top 20 starts in his last 9 outings. Capital E's in 20th. The defending race winner has started 20th or worse now in 5 of his last 6. Johnny Benson had started out of the top 10 only twice in his previous 6 outings. Still to come, they hand out hardware at the Indy Racing League later today. The IRL news from Texas, that and more when RPM rolls on.
Find abs. Everybody wants them, but few ever get them.
That's because defending IRL champ Greg Ray is the pole sitter for the season finale at Texas, but he won't be repeating as champion. Buddy Lazier, Scott Goodyear, and Eddie Cheever, the only 3 drivers who can win the title. Lazier's the points leader. He'll start 6th. Goodyear's on the outside of row 1. Cheever will go off in 10th. It's Lazier leading Goodyear by 38 points and Cheever by 41 as they enter the Excite 500. To Texas and Marlo Clain. She'll be there when the crown is handed out after the race. Marlo Lazier, I would guess, would be the favorite considering what he has to do to win the title compared to what his competitors have to do. And I would also guess that he would have a different approach to the race.
Absolutely, Wick. Coming into this weekend, all he had to do was finish 13th or better, and he would win his first IRL championship. Well, now it's 14th or better going into today's race because neither one of his championship contenders, Scott Goodyear or Eddie Cheever, claimed the pole. As you said, Lazier will start 6th today, and his strategy, just stay out of trouble.
I don't think we can change our strategy. I mean, you know, you start laying back and then you're not pushing, and I just think that, you know, we take it just like any other race. We want to win the race. It'd be a great way to finish the season with a victory. We're not going to abuse our car and do anything stupid, but at the same time, we're going to push hard.
We're just going to take this race like we do every play. We want to go to win. We want to run as hard as we can. Buddy knows no other way. Our crew doesn't. You know, we thought about it a lot, and I know if we'd take a conservative approach, we'd botch it all up. So it's best we just do what we know best and what got us to this point.
The other 2 drivers in the championship hunt are Eddie Cheever and Scott Goodyear. Cheever will start 10th today and trails Lazier by 41 points. Goodyear qualified 2nd for the race. He is the only driver in the championship hunt to pick up points in qualifying. With those 2 points, he now trails Lazier by 36.
We got momentum. I think yesterday's qualifying, disappointing not getting pole, but we were off just a little bit on a couple of things, and it cost us a little bit of speed, and that's the way it works out. But right now, I think, at least like you say, we got 2 points out of that whole thing. So I think for us, we have an opportunity to carry that momentum through.
I have no interest whatsoever where Buddy is. I have no interest whatsoever where Scott is. I want to know the last 10, 15 laps, but beforehand, it's like playing, you know, a bunch of different games. Who am I running with? How fast is my car going? Who's got a problem? Who doesn't? At the end, if you can slow down, then you will slow down, but I doubt we'll be running slow at the start because there's just too much at stake.
So far this weekend at the Texas Motor Speedway, Team Menard has been perfect. Brian Reffner won the truck race Friday night from the pole, and on Saturday, Greg Ray won the pole for today's race. When Ray, the defending series champion, takes the green flag this afternoon, it will mark the 6th time this season out of the 9 races that Ray has led the field to the start.
Certainly for my guys, this would be to have a good result here going into the winter would be a big bonus. This is my hometown crowd. I've finished 2nd here twice, finished 3rd once, 6th once, so we're knocking on the door and everything goes right. Sure would be nice to go into the winter months with a win.
The June race at this track featured 31 lead changes among 8 drivers. It had constant wheel-to-wheel battles, even though the drivers had to deal with a bump in turn 4. For this race, the bump has been repaved, making a smoother, more drivable racetrack.
It's definitely going to be better. Actually, the lower part of that groove was worse in 3 and 4. You know, you really had a big hump and you had to lift off the gas, especially when there was in a big pack of cars. Now I think it'll be easy, smooth sailing, flat out the whole way.
For some reason, it's not going to be the same. I think, you know, that day all the factors were right. Maybe the bump in a way was helping because, you know, people were being careful through there. So it's going to be hard to repeat something like that. You know, maybe it was one of a kind.
Going back to the championship contenders, back here in June, all 3 of them finished in the top 10.
All right, Marlo, thanks very much, and we'll hear from you again after the race.
Thanks, Whit.
We show you more of the grid right now. Sarah Fisher made her debut on this track last year. She will start 13th today. All of these drivers using Oldsmobile motors. In fact, only 2 Infinities in the field for the Excite 500. Salazar starting 21st, Boat 22nd, Sharp 24th. Scott Sharp won the June race at Texas, the fastest and closest race in IRL history. See the race on our family of networks. Coverage on ABC today, 4 Eastern. Still ahead, the Truck Series has a new champion this year. The points title clinched Friday in strange fashion, and we'll have more of the grid for the Winston 500, including the 24. David Keith earned his second ARCA win of the year on Saturday. This one marred by an 8-car wreck that sent 3 drivers to the hospital. Frank Kimmel, the 98 Series champion, finishing a lap down in 13th, but still manages to clinch his second Series title with 1 race to go. Greg Biffle clinched his first Truck Series championship despite finishing 25th at the O'Reilly 400, only had to finish 27th. The race is on for second place. Kurt Busch, Andy Houston, Mike Wallace, all within 33 points of each other, heading into the final race at Fontana in 2 weeks. More of the grid for the Winston 500. The restrictor plate changes made after second-round qualifying, so they're all on the same level playing field. Ricky Craven, the fastest among the Saturday qualifiers. 31 through 36, some of the Chevy drivers thought that the plate change added an advantage to the Fords. The Fords pointed out that Chevy took 7 of the top 10 starting positions, so they'll settle it on the track. That music means ESPN.com, and check it out on the net for more auto racing news. Every series, every driver on ESPN.com. Back in a flash.
RPM Today is brought to you by Purolator. You care about your car? Next time, put on a Pure One oil filter from Purolator.
The rest of the field for the Winston 500. Jeff Burton was 33rd fastest in the morning practice on Saturday. After the plate change, he was 14th fastest. He could move up. And every car on the grid from 34 through 42 is a Taurus. So much for the Ford advantage theory. 3 drivers failed to qualify for the event. Back here tonight on ESPN2, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll hear from the IRL Series champion. Plus, we'll update the Winston Cup points race after Talladega and gear up for next week. It's the big 1-hour edition of RPM tonight at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Thanks a lot for joining us this morning. The Winston 500 comes at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. NASCAR today is next. Stay tuned for that from Talladega, and then see you back here tonight on RPM Tonight. Talk to you then. Have fun.
RPM Today is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.